Bitcoin is close to becoming worthless.
Let's go. Now, what's the Bitcoin?
Bitcoin's like rat poison.
Yeah. Oh,
The greatest scam in history.
let's get it.
Bitcoin will go to fucking zero.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the Bitcoin Brief, the show where me and Q&A catch up every 2 weeks to talk about Bitcoin, privacy, open source, keeping your Bitcoin secure, and the news and software updates that matter. I just wanted to say a massive thank you to everyone who's been supporting Ungovernable Misfits, and a big thank you to Foundation Devices for supporting the show. If you haven't already checked them out, go to foundation.xyz. They make cypherpunk tools for fuckwits, and anyone can use this, even me. If you have any questions or you want to reach out, feel free and I'll be happy to go through things with you. For anything super technical, I'll pass you on to Q. If you want to buy one of these incredible passports, use the code Ungovernable. It will get you a discount and it will let them know that I'm shilling. I'd also like to say a huge thank you to the Cake Wallet team. Not only are they supporting this show, but they're also bringing out some incredible features. For those of you who actually use Bitcoin and actually care about their privacy and security, Cake Wallet make it incredibly simple for you to live outside of the traditional financial system. You can use Cake Pay within the app to buy gift cards for food, petrol, and whatever else you might need day to day. You can use silent payments, and of course, you can use Monero. You can connect both Bitcoin and Monero nodes, use coin control, and this team are constantly innovating, and I'm really excited to be working with them. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me, but check them out at cakewallet.com. Download the APK or start using this today on Mac, Windows, Linux, iPhone, or of course your Android device. Enjoy the show.
We're live.
We're back again, baby. We're not live, no. You can edit this and make me sound somewhat competent.
Yeah.
Which is nice. I don't have that luxury on Freedom Tech Friday, unfortunately, so I'm well and truly laid bare so that everybody can hear my ums and ifs and you know what.
R's and all the things.
Yes.
Do you know what, though? I was saying this, I think, to Jordan. I was like, I actually am really enjoying the live stuff, which is a shock to me because I thought, oh, I'm going to hate the fact that I can't edit and I'm going to have to let go of the reins a bit. And there's that control freak in me of like trying to have things as perfect as possible. And I actually kind of have been enjoying it because I know like, okay, that's done. And now there's no more editing to do. Yeah, I'll put like an outro on or I'll do, I might spend an hour messing around with levels or something, but it's not much. And it's just nice. And I like just the fact that we can chat to people, and especially when there's more people in the chat and stuff. So I'm shocked there. That's why I guess you try things you're not sure if you're going to like. You sort of just give it a go because actually you can be shocked.
Yeah, indeed. I share the same thoughts, really. Now that we've got into a bit of a groove with the streaming stuff, connection issues aside, is getting a bit more polished and a bit more of a routine, that it is getting enjoyable, especially as you say, when people get involved and ask questions and stuff. The live chat's been relatively busy for the last couple of weeks, which is really nice to see. So I'm glad the Ungovernables are liking what we're putting out there.
They seem to be.
Behind the scenes, although there is less editing for you, there's still a lot going on to put something like that together.
Oh yeah. So yeah, for anyone who hasn't already checked it out, 9 a.m. Eastern or 2 p.m. London time every single Friday. That's for all the listeners and for you, Q, because I think you might have some issues with that. Do you want to put it in your diary? You're like, you can't.
So for context, listeners, once again, by the time this comes out, this coming Friday, we will be back down to 2 people on Freedom Tech Friday for 1 week only.
Okay.
I am attending a friend's wedding, which is the other side of the country. I've got to drive all the way down south to head to a wedding on the Friday. So unfortunately, I won't be present, but I'm going to leave you in I was going to say the capable hands, but I'll leave you in the hands of Max and Seth to take the reins for this week. And I'm sure it'll be a wonderful stream. I might even be in the car at the time. So I'm going to
Ah.
try and listen in because it's like a 5 or 6 hour drive for us. I might try and listen in and I can send the wife into the live chat and start trolling you both.
I'd really enjoy that, especially if things are going wrong and she's just absolutely abusing us. That'd be great.
I almost certainly will be in the car at that point, so I'm going to try and make that happen.
Very nice. Very good. Okay.
How was your weekend, my friend?
It was stressful, if I'm honest. I'm still dealing with a load of fiat bullshit. It's funny because, like, at the moment, I'm dealing with so much shit that I can't talk about that it makes me be off the ball with Bitcoin and all the freedom tech stuff and all the stuff that I care about for the future of my family. The stuff that matters. I can't focus on it at the moment because we have more imminent attacks constantly at the moment. But it is a stark reminder of just how fucked everything is when you're trying to do anything. You're trying to get anything done, whether it's schools or finance or whatever the thing is. There is just this layer of stressful bullshit, whether it's KYC and AML or fucking vaccine status bullshit or whatever the thing is that you're dealing with. There's just layer and you're just like, this didn't used to be like this. It's not that long ago that you didn't deal with any of this shit. And I'm so sick of it. And I'm hoping that once I get out the other side of it, hopefully relatively unscathed, then I can refocus on what matters. And that is Bitcoin and freedom tech and getting the fuck away from all of this stuff as much as you can and insulating yourself as much as you can, because it is only getting worse out there. If you want to do anything, if you're not just behind a keyboard and just retweeting the same old fucking things over and over again, if you're actually building anything or doing anything or changing anything, fuck me, it's hard.
Yeah, obviously I'm privy to more information than you're willing to share publicly at the moment, but it certainly does sound like a stressful time, and I guess that's what you get for moving to Africa. Or is it Australia? Or Russia?
A bit of both.
Anyway, one of those places. Yeah, one of those places. Thankfully, my weekend was a little bit more stress-free.
Nice.
Relatively quiet, to be honest with you. I had a cheeky Nando's yesterday for the first time in probably like 3 years. It's been a long time. Still tastes great. The only thing that's changed is the price has gone up by about fucking 40%.
Has it?
Had a bit of a shock. Yeah, it's ridiculous now.
Tell me what you ordered and what the price was.
I had half a hot chicken with rice and peas. I don't know how much that was individually because obviously wife and daughter were with me as well, but the total it was over 60 quid.
Okay. And that's for 3 of you though?
Yes.
Okay. I don't think that's that different. I feel like, when did I last have a Nando's? Probably like 7 months ago. I had one not too long before we left. And what did I have? Probably similar. I always used to go for the 4 boneless thighs and then the peri-peri chips and then coleslaw. If I was like being a little bit dirty, I'd go for that. And I feel like that was like 20 quid or 25 quid or something like that. I can't really remember. Yeah. And Nando's is good.
Didn't have you down as a boneless guy. I thought you'd be caveman style.
No, well, I do generally. I think it was like you got more meat and it was like a really succulent option. Whereas like you could get the wings, but then you didn't really get as much meat. I think actually bang for buck, it was one of the best. I used to go for that. Or before that, I used to go for a half chicken.
Yeah.
But then I found like half of that half chicken was just quite dry because it was just like the breast that was like dried out. So anyway, that's probably too much information because most people who listen to the show are actually based in America and they're like, what the fuck is a Nando's?
That was literally the next thing I was going to say. I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this and it's no, but they don't have Nando's in America, do they?
They're quite a backward country. They do struggle.
Let us know in the comments if there is any stray Nando's knocking around in rural America somewhere, if you've ever been.
Yeah.
Or if you don't have any in America and you have been to one in Europe or wherever they do have them, let us know what you thought.
I went to one in Portugal. I can't remember the name of it now. And it was quite a well-known one, like on this little cobbled street. Really fucking lovely place. It was amazing. It was so good.
Was it not called Nando's?
No. It was not called Nando's. It was a proper one in Portugal. It was like, whatever, I can't remember. Little like cafe looking thing with little tables outside on a cobbled street. Lovely in the sunshine. I sat and had that and they got absolutely battered on wine. It was good fun.
Ah, nice. Is it raining there by any chance?
It is, yeah, it's raining here.
That really sounds like it's coming down.
Yeah, it storms where I am at the moment.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'll mute my mic while maybe we jump into a bit of news.
Before we do, just a couple of quick bits of AOB for me. I am going to be heading out to Madrid next month at the start of October for Watch Out Bitcoin, which is obviously a Spanish Bitcoin conference that I believe has been running for maybe 4 years now. We've had a couple of Spanish members of the foundation team head out there at least once before, had some great feedback. It's not a massive conference, but from what I've seen by previous speakers and panels that they've had, it seems like very well aligned with the type of people that kind of listen to the Ungovernable Misfits show, essentially, where there's a lot of privacy focused stuff. Yeah, I was fortunate enough to get an invite to go and do a talk on Bitcoin privacy. So going to be heading out there. The dates, by the way, for anybody who wants to head over, is the 3rd, 4th, and 5th of October. So if you are in Spain or within traveling distance, consider stopping by, say hello, see my talk, and the foundation team. We're also going to have a small booth there as well, so you might be able to buy some gear off us as well.
Consider going to Portugal, having a proper peri-peri chicken, and then hopping across and going and listen to Q talk about Bitcoin.
There you go.
The Spanish actually are probably, of the people that I've met, some of the most real Bitcoiner types, like real privacy focused people. I know that the Barcelona, fucking hell, my house is about to blow away.
Yeah, that sounds really loud.
Mate, I'm telling you, like, it's fucking a bit hairy where I am at the moment.
I didn't know it rained in Dubai anyway.
Yeah, well, it can occasionally. It's a little bit hairy out there. I wouldn't want to be driving, I'll put it that way. I might get taken in the wind. But yeah, the Spanish in Barcelona, they always had really good meetups and proper privacy talks and stuff, so I'm sure it'll be good.
Yeah, they are a very based group of Bitcoiners. Looking forward to that one. I've never even been to Madrid either as well, so looking forward to going and exploring a new city. Also, I will be, the month after, in November, I'm going to be heading all the way to Manchester to go to Bitfest 2025, which is on the 21st to the 23rd of November. And this is being organised by, I don't know whether he's head organiser, but he's got his fingers in the pie some way, shape or form. Friend of the show, Nathan Day. 3 events over 3 days. There's one day called Gloucestershire, no clues on what that one's about. And then there's the main 2 days of the Bitfest conference as well. And I'll be going out to give, once again, a talk about Bitcoin privacy. So if you are in the vicinity, in and around the 21st of November, head over to Manchester, grab yourself a Nando's. There's plenty of them there. Then come and say hi and listen to me talk again about Bitcoin privacy.
Do you know what you should do as well if you are there and you do see Q and he delivers a great speech on privacy?
Buy me a Nando's.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Buy him a nice Nando's. Give back a little bit. He does so much out there. All these talks, flying all around the world, all these different cities he has to go and explore, and beers he has to drink, and hands he has to shake. It's tough being a robot.
There you go. Well, luckily I haven't got to travel far for that one. Looking forward to that one as well. Be good to catch up with Nathan. I haven't seen him for a while. It wasn't in Riga, unfortunately. So
very nice.
That's it for my AOB. So let's hit the news before Max's house blows away. First on the list is just going to get a quick mention. The reason for that is we did a deep dive into it in last week's Freedom Tech Friday, link for which will be in the show notes of this show. Google is tightening security measures around Android app distribution. The company announced last Monday that starting from next year, they're going to begin to verify the identities of developers distributing their apps on Android devices, and not just those who distribute via the Play Store. This change will affect all, quote, certified Android devices, which is essentially all stock Android devices, unless you've messed around with it and put something like Graphene OS on there. So once live, the global rollout will be more gradual. The tech giant is stressing that this does not mean that developers can't distribute outside the Play Store. So to be clear, sideloading is still allowed. You can install an APK file on stock Android. However, that APK file must now be signed by a KYC'd developer who has gone through the new process with Google to essentially KYC themselves. So no more anonymous or pseudonymous developers privately publishing APKs and being able to be installed on stock Android. This is going to begin rolling out in certain parts of the world in October this year, with looking to be a global rollout by the end of 2027. So they are phasing it in. At present, this does not affect non-stock Android. So if you run Graphene OS or similar, then you'll still be able to install APKs from anywhere, even if they are completely unsigned and the developer hasn't been through the egregious KYC crap that Google is soon to be instilling upon all of those sorts of developers. So not the end of the world if you are a privacy focused Android user, because chances are you are already running Graphene OS on there. But yeah, something to stay abreast of. And as I say, we did a bit more of a deep dive on this and the ramifications of it on last week's Freedom Tech Friday. So if this has piqued your interest, maybe go and listen to that show and get more of a deep dive and some takes from Max and Seth.
Not maybe, definitely go and listen.
Yeah, definitely. Keep your eye on it, but if you're a Graphene user, you're safe for now. Next on the list, we have a tweet from an account that I've never heard of before, slowmist_team on Twitter, has published the Crypto Asset Tracing Handbook. This is, as the name suggests, basically a PDF. It's also available on GitHub, which is linked in the show notes, talking about how they are putting into practice to trace various different crypto assets across various different blockchains. I'm going to go into a bit of details here because there is some ramifications or implications against Wasabi Wallet. But I always like to caveat this sort of stuff by saying that I just remain a little bit skeptical around chain analysis firms or the likes of boasting about what they have done or what the conclusions that they've drawn.
Yeah, because it's marketing.
It's marketing. They're incentivized to make themselves seem far more competent than they really are. However, with that said, there are some useful tidbits in the analysis here. So I'll do some quoting here. A Wales wallet private key was leaked and the funds were stolen, with the stolen assets moved into Wasabi CoinJoin. The affected user sought the assistance of the Mistrack team. Mistrack conducted withdrawal analysis on the stolen funds mixed into Wasabi CoinJoin, successfully tracking and recovering the flow of funds. Subsequently, the attacker attempted cross-chain transfers. Mistrack identified historical traces of the hacker's addresses moving funds to exchanges. That's a key point to remember that. And assisted law enforcement in contacting the exchanges to request evidence and apply risk controls on the relevant accounts. Later, as the attacker further transferred stolen funds to exchange-related accounts, part of the stolen funds were successfully frozen. Okay, so what else did they do? Yeah, the critical breakthrough was analyzing Wasabi CoinJoin withdrawals. Mistrack studied input and output addresses and analyzed intersections across multiple transactions. Withdrawal addresses were examined for address usage frequency, input amounts, withdrawal amounts, and post-withdrawal transaction behavior. After a series of detailed analysis, the team successfully identified several suspicious withdrawal addresses. We then compiled and compared the withdrawal amount from these addresses and found that these amounts were largely consistent with the funds that were transferred to the Wasabi CoinJoin by the hackers. We discovered a correlation between different Wasabi CoinJoin withdrawal transactions, and the withdrawal addresses showed a clustering relationship. Therefore, we can confirm that these addresses are the hackers' withdrawal addresses. Here's a bird's eye view of the hackers' CoinJoin transaction. Again, link will be in the show notes. Finally, after identifying Wasabi CoinJoin withdrawal addresses, Mistrack further tracked stolen funds. The hacker used RenBTC for cross-chain operations. Analysis revealed Ethereum RenBTC withdrawal addresses, which were then exchanged for ETH and dispersed across multiple exchanges. After analyzing the hacker's exchange history, Mistrack team immediately shared this information with the affected users and assisted law enforcement agencies in contacting the exchange to request evidence. The exchange then implemented risk control measures for potentially implicated accounts. Ultimately, as the attacker attempted to transfer further stolen funds to exchange-related accounts, the close collaboration with Mistrack team, law enforcement agencies, and the exchange successfully froze a portion of the stolen funds. Okay, so what can we learn from this? Well, essentially, the crux or the key points for me here is that the main de-anonymization they claim to have done is by correlating...
It's amounts and patterns.
Exactly. Timings, amounts, and patterns pre and post CoinJoin behavior. So the attacker wasn't very sophisticated, essentially, but because they've done some consolidation, they've sent some mixed funds to addresses that they've previously used with exchanges prior to using the Wasabi coin join. So they've been they've been pretty messy here.
Pretty slapdash.
Yeah, what they've also done is use the tool that doesn't have any post-mix spending tools, which could have provided some ability for them to do some of this consolidation in a way that provided more plausible deniability than the rudimentary technique that they've used just by essentially consolidating after using Wasabi. So it seems to be a bit of a mix here of predominantly user behavior being very sloppy, but also using a tool that doesn't have very high guide rails in terms of the best practices after the coin join, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
As always, I want to bring this full circle and say, look, there's a lot of conjecture here in terms of the publisher seems to draw a lot of conclusions just by assuming that certain amounts match up pre and post. Yes, there are some address reuse or account reuse, which obviously has them banged to rights. But just because certain amounts match pre and post doesn't necessarily mean that they've captured 100% of these funds. And I think that's clear by the way that they've mentioned that they were able to freeze parts of it.
Yeah.
So
I haven't read through the report, but there's a part of me that's like, ha, it's Wasabi, like, fuck them. Like, over the years, they've annoyed me very much and been quite dishonest and frustrating, especially early days. But the other part of me is like, how much of this actually is flaws in what Wasabi has, except for not having post-mix spending tools, because really this sounds like user error more than anything else. So as I say, like, there's a part of me that's like wants to shit on Wasabi here, but actually I'm not sure that it is anything to do with how their protocol's set up. I'm not smart enough to know that, but it doesn't seem that way.
yeah, and also there's a nice little paragraph here in this kind of summary to this section. It's important to note that once funds enter a mixer, the original path is unlikely to be fully constructed, creating a natural blind spot in on-chain tracing. However, external clues can be used for lateral verification. For example, the behavioral patterns before mixing and a consistent destination after mixing, leveraging on-chain fixed amount characteristics to trace mixing behavior, analyzing inflow and outflow paths within a time window, developing outflow address profiles and behavioral clustering models, linking post-mixing paths with exchange deposits, and leveraging open source intelligence to supplement on-chain deficiencies and establish attribution. So basically, everything that we've just said is like a mixture of a couple of things where they've just predominantly been sloppy. You could argue also not used the best tool for the job if they were really wanting to keep these stolen funds fully private.
Fully stolen.
Yes.
If you do steal funds, you want to fully keep your stolen funds.
Yeah,
not give them
indeed.
back to the exchanges. Okay. Well, interesting anyway.
I don't know the dates on this actually, but it always makes me laugh. These are from 2022, so it is like 3 years old. What I was going to say is it always makes me laugh when hacks like this happen and then they run straight to a regulated exchange where it's like a choke point. I don't know. For me, like, obviously I'm not promoting anybody to steal any funds and try to launder the money so they can keep the stolen funds. In my head, if you were going to do it, you'd want to sit on it for quite a while. And I'm not sure whether that would actually help anything in real life. Obviously, I'm not a career criminal, but I don't know. It feels like rather than kind of running for the exit straight away, it might make a bit more sense just to kind of sit on those and just, or maybe drip them out through no KYC peer-to-peer exchanges.
That's what I was just about to say.
You're severely limiting your ability to cash out large amounts of funds there, aren't you?
Honestly, like, this isn't advice. If you're a criminal thinking about stealing like a good person's Bitcoin, like, reconsider your life a bit. It's cunty. Like, I'm sure if you're smart enough to work things out, like hacking and all that stuff, you're probably smart enough to like start a business or do something that benefits humanity in some way rather than stealing. But if I was in that situation and someone had really wronged me and I did take their Bitcoin, what I would probably look to do is very, very slowly, piece by piece, be moving that and buying physical items and then moving those. So, you know, rather than like getting a load and then opening a fucking KYC exchange and then giving all your details and then selling it and then being tracked because you've got your bank details and your passport and all that stuff, buying gift cards or prepaid visas or whatever, and buy a watch here that gets sold and whatever, like stuff that you can easily move and just live off that for the rest of your life rather than being an idiot. But that is not criminal advice.
It's also not very in with the criminal mind, is it?
No, you can't go and buy a Lambo.
Yeah, well, no, what I'm saying is, look at me, I've stolen all these funds and yeah, I'm going to go and buy Tesco gift cards with it.
Hey, look, there's nothing wrong with Tesco's. You can go and get a decent ribeye, a nice bottle of wine, sit down, enjoy an evening with your missus. You can have a nice time, but no, you can't sort of go and throw hundreds at strippers and drive there in a Lambo and do all the stuff that most of these fucking idiots want to do. But yeah, that's what I would do.
All right, next on the list, this one comes from the guys at The Rage. The Bank of International Settlements has proposed a paper for self KYC for non-custodial wallets. Why does this feel like Groundhog Day, like all over again?
Oh,
Economists at the Bank of International Settlements, often referred to as the central bank of central banks. I'm not sure that that's an accolade to be proud of, but anyway, they published a paper for a new approach to anti-money laundering compliance for crypto assets. The economists suggest to leverage the provenance and history of any particular unit or balance of a crypto asset to implement a risk scoring scheme with an on and off ramps that would exclude any asset that has ever passed through a no KYC wallet from being accepted by regulated entities.
Oh, God. Fuck off. Just fuck off.
Oh, it gets better. Listen to this. With this approach, the BIS aims to create, quote, a culture of duty of care among crypto market participants, leading users of non-custodial wallets to not accept no KYC coins and opt for KYCing their own coins voluntarily. What are these people smoking? While customer verification can be performed at points of contact with the conventional monetary system, e.g. crypto exchanges, once claims move to unhosted wallets on the permissionless blockchain itself, the transactions are out of the reach of conventional forms of intervention. Yeah, no shit. By using public transaction histories, a diagnostic AML compliance score could be referenced in any further interventions by authorities when crypto assets, including stablecoins, are presented for conversion to fiat currency at the off-ramps. And once again, link in the show notes, but there's an interesting image here that's like got like a color chart and uses the word tainted and fully tainted, directly tainted, clean tokens. It's got all the buzzwords in there, guys. You'll have a little giggle when you see that one.
Wow. Unhosted wallet.
An AML compliance score that references the UTXOs for Bitcoins or wallets for stablecoins could use the information on the blockchain, including the full history of transactions and the wallets they have passed through. A higher value, e.g. maximum 100, would denote relatively clean funds, coming mostly from, quote, allowed list wallets. While lower value, e.g. minimum 0, would denote funds that are tainted by being associated with one or more wallets known to be on a deny list. The paper elaborates. Oh, who are these people, man? What the fuck?
Unbelievable. At that stage, you are in a much worse position using Bitcoin than you ever were using the traditional banking system.
Absolutely. Yeah, couldn't have said it better myself.
Actually, much worse. Because at least in theory, supposedly, banks aren't supposed to give information on their clients to one another, and they're not supposed to give it to authorities without certain agreements or like orders or whatever, you know. Whereas if you're actually using Bitcoin in the way that's being suggested here, everything is completely open and scored. At that point, it is full on the worst surveillance coin nightmare you could ever dream of.
Can you imagine going into the local shop, right, to buy a pack of beers?
Yeah.
Handing over a £10 note and the cashier being like, hang on a minute, can you just stand there, hold your driving license in front of you with that £10 note in the other hand so I can take a photo of you?
Mate, it's what they'd love.
Just want to check that the £10 note is on the allowed list and that it's got a score greater than 80 before you can buy these cans of Stella. It's like, fuck off.
It's what they'd love, though, isn't it? That's where it goes. That's what they want.
Yes.
It's just so frustrating. Even just the use of cash certainly in the UK, you get some pretty weird looks, especially if it's like large amounts. If you go down Tesco's and you're spending 20 quid, everyone's like, yeah, that's fine, whatever. But if you go and you want to go buy like a laptop or like something of like reasonable value, people are like, he's definitely a drug dealer, or he's definitely an arms dealer, or like a fucking human trafficker. Like there's something going on here because he's got cash. So it kind of disincentivizes people from using it anyway. It's getting harder to spend it a lot of places anyway. Like a lot of shops and places you go are like, we're cashless, we're saving the planet. Like, no, you're a fucking idiot. There's so many of these places that little coffee shops and things that won't take cash. So it is getting harder. And then you can't get it in the bank or out the bank, or it's very frustrating.
Yeah. Imagine me and you going to Nando's. I pick the bill up on my card and you try to give me a tenner. I'd be like, sorry, mate, that's not on the allowed list. I can't take it. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm going to file a suspicious activity report on you now.
Yeah. Okay, well, I know that was pretty doomer, but to be clear, that is just some bullshit economist paper at the moment.
Yeah,
Again,
yeah.
at the moment, but we'll see. Let's hit some boosts, mate.
Before you do, I just want to say that BTC Wrestle had offered the other day to send in some updates for us. Very kindly. He said, look, I think the show would benefit from some of these updates. He then put it in his diary, and then I guess he lost his diary because he completely fucking forgot.
I wondered where you were heading with this. It's like, public call out. Nice.
Yeah. And then I messaged him just with the eyes, you know, the little side eyes things, like, where's the fucking stuff that you said you were going to send? He is now, as we are speaking, sending some stuff over. So we may or may not have a new little section with some updates, but I'm just letting you know that he's typing away.
Okay. Nice. We mustn't be too hard on him, but he has been a staple in the Freedom Tech Friday live chat. So
he has.
He's been showing up every week. So we'll let him off this time.
We will. And he offered it and he's trying to help do all that. So we love you, mate, but I've got to have a little dig there as well.
Okay, on to the boosts. First one is an XMR chat. Web wipe with 0.0185271 XMR. This is for the Bitcoin Brief. WebWipe is hosting a privacy meetup in Nashville, Tennessee on September the 20th. Join us at Diskin Cider, located at 1235 Martin Street, from 6 till 10 p.m. I just realized what you're all laughing at. We'll have presentations and demos on BTC tools, including Ashigaru, Boltzmann Calculator, DEXs, and more. That sounds like a bit of me, that.
Yeah.
Nashville food.
Oh.
Talking about Bitcoin privacy tools.
Amazing.
If you're in the area, get yourself there.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, Max, do you want to enlighten the listeners as to why you did that little childish giggle while I read out the name Diskin Cider?
Diskin Cider. Just my dirty mind, mate. I was just imagining something.
Are you going to leave that open to interpretation?
I'll leave that open.
Maybe listeners just swap some of the letters around in Diskin Cider and see what you can come up with.
I wonder when they came up with that name, whether they thought it was funny as well or not. Probably not. Probably just...
I'd like to think that the sign writers, when they were putting the sign up, even temporarily, like they swapped the letters around just to see what it looked like.
Well, funny or not, definitely get yourself down there. That sounds great. They're doing some really good work. That is awesome to see. Rev Hoddle with 1,121 sats says, welcome back. I am also back to boosting. Proof of 40 hours per week. Add an in-person podcast to your 40 hours per week at the South Bend, Indiana Bitcoin Meetup. First Thursday every month at Lang Lab. 6:30 p.m. Nothing like experiencing the podcast live and in person at your local meetup. I like that we're getting some meetup stuff.
Yeah, this is cool. I like it a lot. I also like the fact that the analogy of a meetup being an in-person podcast.
Yeah.
I guess the only difference being that if you heckle somebody, like I could see there's pies on the list coming up, so I'm sure there's going to be a heckle. I haven't actually read it, but at least you can get some immediate feedback from the podcast.
Yeah. You get some immediate abuse.
Yes, yeah. Thanks for your boost, by the way, Rev Huddle. Good to see you back. Turkey boosted, no comment, but he sent 500 sats. And then Pies boosted with 421 sats. Max, your childhood sounds like mine. When they put me on Ritalin in elementary school, I didn't like the way it made me feel, so I started selling it to middle school and high school kids.
Brilliant.
And traded it for weed. Of course you did.
Brilliant.
Thus beginning my criminal journey. Then in middle school, like Q&A, I took the hit for a BB gun pistol that we were passing around because I was the only one in my group of friends with the balls enough to tell a principal to fuck off. And he couldn't search me and had to call the cops, which he did.
Amazing. Amazing, Pies.
None of that surprises me about Pies.
No, it doesn't surprise me either. I can't even imagine him on Ritalin as well. Although they say that it's supposed to like help you focus and calm down, but I imagine that would buzz him up. It'd be all over the place.
There was a bit of a black market for it. As I was leaving high school, it seemed to be all the rage, but I've not tried it.
I used to take it in my last, like when I was actually had a career, I used to take Adderall and it was wonderful stuff.
Do you get a come down off it?
Not really, but I was doing Adderall in the day and then Xanax at night and all sorts of... I was snorting Adderall and Xanax as well, just to fucking keep going or knock myself out.
I remember us having this conversation before now.
It was a bit mental, but it's great stuff, like especially for my brain. Even if I'd gone out all night and hadn't had any sleep and I'd come into work, I could still come in and be really effective if I took that. So it is good stuff, but it's basically, what's it called?
It's speed, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it's basically speed.
Like a different form of that, yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
A legal form of it.
Yeah, and I've not ever tried speed. It's basically the same thing, but it does... I don't know whether it's just particular types of brains where it works for some and not for others, but I've heard other people had a really bad time on it. I was so much more efficient. But then there's other ones. Is it modafinil a lot of people take? I tried modafinil and it fucked me up. I went to go and pick my missus up. This is when I think I was just like editing a pod and like getting some stuff done, but I hadn't slept for a long time. And I was like, oh, I'll just try some modafinil then. And I went to go and pick her up and I had like the shakes. I was sweating. My heart was fucking going. I couldn't concentrate at all. I felt like I'd just done like a massive load of crack or something like that. It was horrible. So I guess, I don't know, different things for different people.
Indeed.
Not medical advice.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like something I'm going to rush out
It's
and
not
try.
a good idea. Not medical advice. Don't do it, kids. Thank you, Pies. Stack Jarrow says, winning. Kaz Peeland streamed 280 sats. Pleb to Polymath sent 210 sats. I haven't heard of anyone else who was a floppy disk salesman. My parents couldn't figure out where all the disks were going. I labeled them math homework. Amazing. History notes, etc. Later in life, I worked with a lot of my former clients' parents, and the thought that their kids' lunch money funded their habits always brought good chuckles. I was able to save enough for a CD burner. Oh, he's gone up in the world there. Pleb to Polymath, we're brothers, mate. I also didn't think there was anyone else operating at that level. That's good to hear.
Nice. Final one, Brother Abel, 150 sats, and he said, Max was doing non-KYC cigarettes before the first strand of the intellectual Silk Road was woven. I like that. Nicely said.
Yeah, very good. Very good. Oh, before we do any more questions or anything, let me just check if BTC Wrestle has... He sent me two things, so I'm going to do the two things that he sent me. It might just not be a section. Ashigaru Whirlpool Summary Update. The unspent capacity in Ashigaru Whirlpool is 33.85 Bitcoin, which has an unspent value of $3.7 million. The Ashigaru pool, 2.5 million. Sat pool has 265. The 25 million has 109. So 27.25 of the total is the 25 million sat pool. So that is good to see. Robosats update. There's 6 online Robosats coordinators, 6 enabled coordinators, 38 public buy orders, 29 public sell orders, and the book liquidity is 104,966,119 sats. Today, active robots is 1,019. 24-hour non-KYC Bitcoin premium is currently sitting at 2.64% over.
Wait.
What?
I just want to say that there is no premium. You get a discount for KYC and on Coinbase, etc.
Yeah, nice.
There you go. Just had to get that in there.
Yeah, that's the real risk premium, isn't it? And then we've got a 24-hour contracted volume of 0.157 Bitcoin and a lifetime contracted volume of 94.5088 Bitcoin. So there we are.
I like that.
I like that.
Listeners, let us know. Do you want stuff like this at the top of the show, like other podcasts do? Do you want us to mid-roll it?
Mm-hmm.
Do you not care at all? Should we just get rid of it?
Yeah.
Or if you do like it, after you told us where in the show you'd like to hear it, also let us know if there's any other data points that you want adding in, and we can crack the whip with BTC Wrestle and get him to send us some more useful privacy stuff.
Shall I tell you what he was going to send?
Yes, please. Yeah.
Podcast ideas he sent me. Clark Moody's dashboard, block height, blocks until next difficulty adjustment, estimated difficulty adjustment, lightning capacity, Robosats market update that we've just done, a BISQ market update, that'd be nice, Ashigaru liquidity update, which we've just done, a KYC Hall of Shame.
Oh,
I like that. I think that would be cool.
is that where we find somebody who's got a Coinbase account and just name them?
No, we would never do that.
That was a joke, by the way.
I think that would be like the most cucked of the week, like something very KYC, like Hall of Shame sort of stuff. That's what I think he means.
I like it.
Notable software updates. We already do that. Featured Bitcoin meetup of the week. Oh, I like that. We've currently obviously done the Web Wipe one and Rev Huddles boosted in, but that would be quite nice to do a little highlight. What I'd like is a section at some point of like, these are the really good meetups that are going on in the next 2 weeks. And we just do like a little section of here's the top 5 in the US, here's a couple in the UK, here's one in Spain, bang, bang, bang. And like people can listen to that.
There's got to be a website for that we can reference, surely.
Yeah, you'd think so. Okay, let's see. Let's get some feedback.
Thank you, BTC Wrestle.
Thank you,
Appreciate
mate.
it. Looking forward to building this out with you.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, before we hit updates, this question was posted by Bitter21 on Nostr for Freedom Tech Friday, but as is always the case with Freedom Tech Friday, we never ever get to the end of that list.
No.
So I'm going to start picking out some of the Bitcoin related ones and just shoehorning them into the Bitcoin brief if they fit and the list isn't too long. So hopefully Bitter21 doesn't just listen to Freedom Tech Friday and they're going to catch this, but hopefully I can try and remember to send them a link to the show afterwards.
Yeah.
But they ask, what is a good passphrase length? Should I treat it like an important password, e.g. approximately 20 characters, letters, numbers, or something like the EFF dice word list? Great question.
That is a good question.
There's a couple of schools of thought here. Like, from the standpoint of like which is more secure, I'm going to guess there's probably not much in it between like a generic 20 character password that say Proton Pass would give you, where it's like a mixture of letters, numbers and characters, versus 5 EFF, Electronic Freedom Foundation, I believe, from their dice word list. They've got a really great tool that basically, a bit like the BIP39 list, but you can just roll a dice essentially and pick out a corresponding word. I don't think there's much in the way of additional security. They're probably quite equal. To kind of paint that picture a little bit more, there's going to be a link in the show notes for this section to a really great blog post that was done by coldbit.com. That's a number of years old now, but it's got some awesome information in there. It does get very technical at some points, but there is some really great kind of simple things that you can use to influence the length of your passphrase. And before I get into this, I just want to be clear, your passphrase should not be memorable.
Agree.
If it is memorable, because if you were to choose 5 words, then it's not outside of the realms of possibility that you could remember that. And what I'm about to tell you will paint how secure 5 truly random words can be as a passphrase. So maybe I'll walk that one back, but it shouldn't be easy to remember is what I would suggest. So again, I'm referencing this Coldbit blog post that will be in the show notes for the next one. But if you were to choose a dice rolled 5-word passphrase from the EFF list or from the BIP39 list, as long as it's truly random, then there's different classes of attacks. So let's assume that somebody has a top level graphics card pointed at solely trying to crack your passphrase.
And they already have your 24 words or 12 words.
Obviously, yeah, to lose any funds. But let's say they've got a 12, 24 words and they just point in a high-end graphics card for like 1 million hashes per second for them to guess a 5-word truly random password. That would be 55 bits of entropy, and it would take them an entire millennium.
That's not too long.
To crack a 5-word passphrase. But it's easy to get a graphics card, right? So let's step it up to the next class of attack. Class C, which according to this list is 100 million. So is that a billion?
Isn't a billion 1,000 million?
8 zeros. So that's
100 million.
100 million hashes per second. John's cringing here, isn't he? Because I know he's good at this sort of shit. So that's like 100 high-end graphics card pointing solely at trying to attack your thing. That would take them 11 years to crack your passphrase. So you can see quickly how like 5 words is going to be enough for most people. If you choose 6, it quickly goes to, it's literally infinite. The only kind of rough estimate figure for if you chose 6 words, again, completely random using the EFF dice word list, is a class D attack, which literally doesn't exist today, by the way. And that is 1 and then 90. So I think that is 1 billion hashes per second, right? If hypothetically somebody was able to do that and they pointed all of it just at your passphrase and it was 6 words in length, it would take them 2 millennia to crack your passphrase. Again, these are estimates, but you're safe with 5 or 6 words, is the short answer to the question.
I just want to revisit the thought process around not being able to remember your passphrase, and I think it's an important one, especially for people who have single sig, because to me it's kind of, I would treat it as like a kind of 2 of 2 multi-sig in a way, where if you had a hardware wallet at your home and you could access it but you didn't have your passphrase, and your passphrase isn't remembered, and your passphrase is wherever in a different country in a fucking safety deposit box or something like that, or buried under 20 feet of concrete somewhere that you can't access, it means that even if somebody puts a gun to your head, you can't give them it because you can't remember it. So that might not go your way because they might put a bullet in your head because they might not believe you. But at the same time, you know that you definitely can't send your funds. I think that if you can remember your passphrase, it's not going to be as useful in those kind of scenarios or those kind of attacks.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. So, as I say, this blog post that I've been referencing is a treasure trove of information. There's loads of great tables in there. There's actually a comparison between if you were to use the BIP39 word list, the long dice word list, which is from EFF, which actually has 7,776 words in it. There's a short diceware list, and it even goes into like typical passwords like Bitter21 suggested, where it's like alphanumeric and things like that. And you can compare the different classes of attacks based on how much kind of power is pointed towards cracking it, and like the length of your password and the success rate or how long it would take. This might scare a few people, but if you have a 6-character password, alphanumeric, a class A, so just a single GPU, can crack that in 2.5 days.
Okay.
If you bump that up to 8 characters, alphanumeric, a single ASIC would take 9 years to crack it. So you can see the exponential difficulty or increase in entropy just by adding an additional 2 characters. And then just to take that one step further, if you go to 10 alphanumeric characters, a single ASIC would take 11 millennia to crack it. So longer passwords are definitely your friend.
Definitely. The thing I was thinking about a few years ago when I first came across what 3 words, you know what 3 words? Where like it will pinpoint exactly where you are. I remember it was like early days of Bitcoin, and I was like thinking about all this stuff and like entropy and how hard it would be to crack. And I was watching there was like a video that was like blue, brown, green or something, and it was like a YouTube video where they were explaining how difficult it would be to hack one Bitcoin wallet and explaining it with time and all that. And I was finding it a bit difficult to really like grasp it. The numbers were so big. And then one of my mates was like ordering a Chinese or something. He was like, I'll give you the what 3 words. I was like, what the fuck is a what 3 words? He's like, well, just wherever you stand, there are 3 words that correspond to that 2 foot by 2 foot square or whatever it is. And I was like, what, 3? There's only 3 things? That doesn't make sense. He's like, yeah, in the whole world. And when I looked at that, I was like, okay, I can see how this works. I could understand it better.
The human mind has a very difficult time comprehending exponentially large numbers.
Yeah.
And at the crux of it, big fuck off random numbers are essentially what makes Bitcoin
secure. Yeah.
That's literally it.
Yeah. I had a really hard time at the beginning being like, well, what if someone else generates the same address? Yeah. Do you know what I was like, you know, that's going to fucking happen at some point, isn't it? It's just at some point that's got to happen. And it's like, no, you don't understand maths well enough or these big numbers well enough to understand, but no.
Yeah.
It's weird to think about though. I still don't really grasp it. Like it's still kind of a bit like magic to me because I'm not good enough at maths to like fucking understand it. I'm just like, I get in theory, no, but the numbers are so big I can't wrap my head around it.
Yeah, there's one thing that's actually made me understand it a very, very little bit. There was a saying, I've just tried to find it quickly, and I've just found a version of it here. 1 million seconds is 12 days. 1 billion seconds, which is like the next step up the exponential, is 32 years. Here we go. Look at this one. This is scary. 1 million minutes ago was approximately 2 years ago. 1 billion minutes ago was the year 114 AD.
Fucking hell. Yeah.
That's fucking mind blowing, isn't it?
That's weird. Yeah, that is weird. That's a way of saying, yeah, use a long passphrase and you're pretty fucking secure.
Yeah, indeed.
Just got another message come through. BISQ 24-hour volume is 0.2285 BTC.
I love that we're drip feeding these throughout the whole show.
Yeah.
It's nice.
And number of trades is 24. So that's BISQ. Oh, and I did also have...
Wait, sorry. 24 trades in what time frame on BISQ? That seems low.
I assume 24-hour volume because he's put 24-hour volume. It was 0.2285 BTC, and number of trades was
Seems
24.
low, that, doesn't it?
It does seem extremely low.
For the whole of the BISQ network, there's one trade every hour.
It seems odd. It seems unlikely, but let's not assume that he's wrong here. But if you are...
Yeah, no, I wasn't assuming that he was wrong. It was more, I guess, a sadness that if that is true, that's not great P2P volume. I know that's only one exchange, but...
It's not even double what Robosats is doing, which is why I'm surprised, because Robosats obviously has much smaller amounts. All right, well, look, hopefully you're right, BTC Wrestle. If you're not, you're going to be in some serious trouble. All right, just so you know. And also, MYNYMBOX had an announcement. They said, warning, we have 2 times an issue with the swap service GoEXMe. They block funds for no reason. We are waiting for hours for a refund. If you use Trocador app to pay MYNYMBOX services, you can easily avoid them. I guess just a warning, if you are using GoEXMe to pay for things, maybe reconsider that. Try Trocador. So thank you, MYNYMBOX, for letting everyone know.
Nice. Thanks for that. Also, just quickly going back to the whole passphrase thing, I can't believe I forgot to shill my own shit.
Oh, here we go.
Bitcoiner.guide/seed. Me and Superfat Arrow have a passphrase generator in there that uses the EFF word list, and you can just input your dice rolls. So you literally just go in there, you roll a dice, you input your dice roll result, and it will just populate the passphrase for you.
Nice.
So if you want to go and do that as like just playing around, or if you want to download the tool and do it offline and do it for your actual passphrase, please make sure you're offline when you do that.
Yes.
That's a good little play around tool that you can use and is relevant.
You've got some good tools.
Yeah, I can't take much credit for it. I mean, like I say, I had the idea, but Superfat Arrow's the superstar that builds all that shit.
Thank you, Superfat Arrow. You really are a superstar.
He is. Right, before we hit the updates, mate, I just need a piss.
Oh my god, we're so in sync. I'm literally sat here like grabbing my dick, so desperate to piss. Just before we started talking about that, I was like, I can't actually wait another 5 minutes. I'm so pleased you said that. I'm going to go at the same time. Oh, that was glorious.
Did you enjoy that?
Oh, that was glorious. Sometimes I question how there's so much liquid in my body. I think it's the combination of when I get up in the morning, I try and drink like a litre of water because I always feel quite dehydrated. And then I smash a lot of coffee, a horrible amount of coffee, which obviously makes you want to piss. And then we sit down and record. And so that's why, we're only an hour in and I'm just sat here like, oh my God, I'm going to explode.
I also have a notoriously weak bladder, and I always sit down to record this with you with a coffee, and I'm also always bursting by the time we hit an hour. Right, let's sign off the show with the updates and releases. Max, the first update is the RoninDojo. Nice to see a new update being pumped out from Dojo Coder.
Very good to see.
Version 2.3.0 has been released. They've updated the underlying Dojo software to version 1.27. This release also brings the latest version of Samurai Dojo. Here's a few things that have been updated. So they've updated all of the packages: Bitcoin Core, Tor, Fulcrum, Explorer, ElectRS, updated not banned script. That's very timely. New Dojo API endpoints and updated dependencies. This update will help you to be prepared for new features that might arrive in Sentinel or Ashigaru. Interesting.
Very nice.
But the biggest new thing in this update is the introduction of Soroban, a distributed peer-to-peer network that your dojo can leverage for a number of use cases. The first use case available in Dojo is Pando TX. When you send a transaction through Dojo, it will not be immediately pushed to the Bitcoin network, but it will be sent to a random node on the Soroban network, which will push it to the Bitcoin network. This also means that your Soroban node will receive other people's transactions and will push these to the Bitcoin network. This further obfuscates the origin of a transaction because the maker of a transaction does not have to be connected with a Bitcoin node that relays the transaction to the network. We hope that this is just the first of many applications built on top of Soroban. Love it.
That's interesting.
That is like, if I could draw a quick analogy that popped into my head while I was reading that.
I know what you're going to say as well.
It's like a peer-to-peer VPN network for your Bitcoin transactions. Ooh, do you like that?
That is nice. Shout out to you, Pavel. What an absolute legend. He's been one of the most consistent people that I've met in this Bitcoin world. He just fucking gets on with stuff. So shout out to you. And if you're thinking about boosting this show, maybe don't. If you're about to boost us, instead, and if you can, go to paynim.rs. He's plus BERSERK, so Berserk, guess GUESS 89, and go and support him because he's an absolute fucking hero. We'll put that in the show notes as well. But don't send us the sats this week, send it to him.
Agreed. And instead of sending us the sats, just share it on Fountain instead.
Yeah.
But obviously, send Pavel the funds first.
Yes, do that.
But that's not all, Max. In part of this update, we've also got Ronin UI update to version 2.6. Quote, since the unfortunate demise of KYCP and OXT, again, we talked about that
last
those
week,
at length on Freedom Tech Friday. Check it out. There hasn't been a proper way to review transactional privacy and linkability of inputs to outputs. This now changes with the release of Boltzmann tool. Boltzmann, developed by Laurent MT and Samurai, has been integrated into Ronin UI, which means any user can now locally analyze a transaction and see entropy, number of combinations, and a linkability matrix. While this tool right now is very far from the capabilities of KYCP and OXT, we hope to add more useful heuristics in the future. Finally, since this release was about empowering users, the next feature is especially about that. Users are now able to change certain settings, adjust mempool expiry, turn on or off Pando TX, and other things. We are still determining which of the settings can be adjusted by the user in a safe manner, so this screen might expand in the future. Your ideas are welcome.
Love it.
Pretty big update, yeah. Once again, but huge shout out to Pavel and to anybody else working on this sort of stuff. True warriors. Next on the list, very short mention for Mostro, the peer-to-peer exchange network that runs on Bitcoin and Nostr. Version 1, Alpha 13, is now available for download via APK directly from their GitHub. Again, link in the show notes. Good to see another one emerging onto the market. The more peer-to-peer markets we have, the better, and that we can push more and more people away from the KYC panopticon. So keep up the good work, guys. We'll be testing that out on my Graphene phone very soon. Cake Wallet, we have version 5.3.0. The main update here, other than some Dogecoin stuff, is silent payment upgrades. For our privacy-focused users, we've made significant enhancements to silent payments, making your transactions even more discreet and robust. I'm not sure on the full details of what they've changed there, but hopefully it's just a bit of stability. But I'm sure Seth will enlighten you when you do the Monero monthly. I just wanted to mention it because it's one of the only, if not the only, silent payment wallet we have right now. So get out there and use it. ZEUS version 0.11.4 Alpha 1 is available for testing. In this build, they've got LND Watchtower supports. They've got pay to hybrid lightning address.
What's that? It's
just got in brackets BIP353/bolt12/LNURL pay.
Oh, so it's like one QR or one thing and you can send. That's nice.
I like it. Swaps, restore swaps from seed. No idea. Pairs, sorting and filtering. Animated QR codes, you can now set the animation speed. That's useful if you use ZEUS with QR-based hardware wallet like Passport. And then BIP321 invoice parsing. So it's like the updated BIP21, essentially. It's what we mentioned earlier, where it's all rolled into one. So very nice. Again, that's in alpha, so Tread carefully. And then the final one before we deep dive into Nunchuk, there's going to be a link to a video called Everything Powered by Ark. And it's kind of like a behind the scenes look at the Ark implementation by the Ark Labs team that took place in Riga at Baltic Honey Badger, which we talked about a little bit on the last Bitcoin brief. But this is a really cool 18-minute video that kind of goes behind the scenes. So if you want to nerd out a little bit and see how it all came together and learn a bit more about Ark, check out that link, which will again be in the show notes. Last item on the list, and one that I'm very, very excited about, and we've kind of talked or skirted around this subject a couple of times, at least over the course of the past year or so, really starts to feel like we're getting towards a place now where Miniscript is not just something that we thought would be nice to have, and it is being incorporated into much more end user software. Last week, Nunchuk has released support for fully generalized Miniscript usage, bringing a degree of flexibility and control to their users not seen before. For those unfamiliar with Miniscript, it is a policy language invented by core developer and former maintainer Peter Villa to make the creation of customized Bitcoin scripts easier and safer. Miniscript takes the most commonly used pieces of Bitcoin script, i.e. signature locks, time locks, hash locks, and creates a higher level programming language for users to create custom scripts. The higher level language is designed to be safely analyzable and composable, meaning that once users create customized script, they can be sure it will behave in exactly the same way that they would expect it to. At present, Nunchuk with this release has provided two basic templates that users can use. They simply need to fill in the keys they wish to use in a wallet. One is a decaying multisig, where after a time lock expires, less keys are required to spend. So you could have a 2 of 3 that can then degrade after a date that you set when you set the wallet up into a 1 of 3. So you've got protection there against you losing one of your keys and you not being shit out of luck.
I love that. That's my favorite thing.
Yeah, it's fucking awesome, mate. Honestly, I'm so excited that this is coming to mainstream software now.
Yeah.
The other is an expanding multisig where over time other keys can sign for a transaction beyond the core key set. I.e., you initially have a 2 of 2, but after a time lock, again, you can define when that expires, a third key can sign instead. So instead of it being a 2 of 2, it could be a 2 of 3. So that could be a key that you give to a lawyer.
Yeah.
That, again, safe in the knowledge that that lawyer's key is completely useless until that time lock expires.
Yeah.
And if you want to keep the lawyer out of it while you're still alive, you just keep bumping that time lock back and back and back. And essentially, as long as you stay on top of it, the lawyer or whoever's got that third key in this scenario can do nothing, essentially. Yeah. In addition to these basic templates, more advanced users can import any custom Miniscript template they have created themselves. Again, tread very carefully there. Miniscript templates can be applied to both native SegWit as well as Taproot wallets. Out of the gate, the following hardware wallets will support the native SegWit Miniscript, Coldcard, TapSigner, Blockstream Jade, and Ledger, and the following will support the Taproot version, which is just Coldcard and Ledger. MUSIG2 use with Miniscript will be limited to software keys only for the time being, so you can't use that with hardware wallets because I believe none of them support MUSIG2. Right. That is one of the Taproot-based multi-sig solutions.
Right.
Nunchuk's end-to-end encrypted communication function also has full support for Miniscript templates, allowing collaboration between users in constructing and using template-based wallets. So you and I could do this right now with some of the other Ungovernable Misfit team, using a key each on all of our phones, entirely geographically distributed, with decaying setup or an expanding setup as well. So this is very, very cool. I quickly rushed through a setup this morning on my own phone with 2 passports I've got here and a software key. I want to be clear that Passport doesn't support this right now, but Nunchuk did let me set it up. So again, be very careful here, but we are going to be adding that support very soon. The setup process is very similar to a traditional multi-sig where you add your keys. The only difference is that you have an additional screen essentially where you set up the initial quorum. So it could be a 2 of 3. And then you set a time lock, which you can do by block height or you can do by real date in the future. And then you can specify after that date, what does quorum then become? So you could then, in that scenario, if I would want it to be an expanding one, after the time lock of, say, 2 years, my 2 of 3 becomes a 2 of 4, and a key that I gave to my dad then becomes active. There is some confusing bits. It talks about BIP32 paths and things like that when you're adding the fallback and the additional keys. It didn't work in the way that I expected it to. I'm almost certain that's just a lack of my own understanding. But I was expecting that when I set up the 2 or 3 with 2 passports and a mobile wallet key, that when I wanted to do the expanding part afterwards where I added a 4th key, the remaining 3 keys would remain identical, but that wasn't the case. It allowed me to keep the same mobile wallet, but it automatically changed the derivation path. But then for the hardware wallet key, I had to export a different account number from the same passport. And I don't understand why, because you would expect if it's the same wallet just expanded with an additional key that you haven't yet introduced, that the existing keys would remain the same. So I need to do a bit of deep diving as to why that is the case. Like I say, I'm sure it's probably a misunderstanding on my part, but that was the bit that kind of tripped me up. I was able to get to the end of it very quick and set up the wallet, but I kind of whizzed through it knowing that I'm not actually going to put any funds in here, and I would tread far more carefully if I was going to put my life savings into this. Yeah. So I've got a line into the Nunchuk team, and they're very responsive, so I'll clear up my understanding there as to why that is the case, but I'm sure there's a very good reason for it. But other than that, it's kind of just a generic multi-sig wallet setup, which is comforting. I guess you could also argue that there's a couple of screens here where it shows you the Miniscript. It means fuck all to anybody apart from Satoshi Nakamoto, essentially. Again, it's early days. There's a lot of confusing stuff in there, but if you follow the guide rails, then feel free to test it out. And hats off for Nunchuk again for pushing the envelope here and being one of the first, or being the first mobile wallet to support this.
Very nice. Yeah, it's, to me, probably the most exciting update for a long time. Just in terms of like security wise, this is just the biggest step up, that degregating multi-sig. For my use cases, and I think for a lot of people's use cases, like that is extremely powerful. And it sounds like it's another step closer to an idiot like me maybe being able to do it.
Once you've got all the polish of this, where you put like a nice UI around it, and it's like, rather than talking about BIP32 paths and additional keys and stuff, and you just like tap a backup key here and then keep that safe, and there's a lot of ways that this can be polished to become a lot more mainstream friendly. It's just it just takes time. Yeah, have a play around. If you've got any of those compatible hardware wallets that I mentioned earlier, have a play around with Nunchuk. Considering it's a first cut, they've done a really great job of it. So I'm looking forward to this being more fleshed out and easier to grok, and might finally be the impetus for me to move full time into multi-sig.
Very nice.
Who knows? All right, mate. A much longer rip than I first anticipated. We've been going for nearly an hour and a half, but hopefully, listeners, you enjoyed that. As always, if you have enjoyed the show, feel free to send us a boost or a zap and share the show. Drop us a comment. Tell us what you liked. Tell us what you didn't like. There's some new stuff in there. And just share the show. It really does help.
Yeah, it really does. And thank you to everyone who has been boosting and sharing. It's really appreciated. Thank you to BTC Wrestle for sending some, even though not all of what you promised. We do appreciate that as well. And yeah, love you all. Love to all the Ungovernable family.
See you guys.
Before you go, MYNYMBOX.io help keep your online presence hidden. They provide anonymous server hosting solutions, virtual, private, and dedicated servers, domain registration, and DNS parking. They don't require any of your personal information, and you can purchase using Bitcoin, Lightning, or Monero. No personal information required. None. Zero. MYNYMBOX.io. Stay ungovernable.